Hello everyone, this is Ripper, and today we are playing Chivalry Medieval Warfare, and I am going to be teaching you fantabulous people how to play this game. So, that was weird. So for any of the new guys who would just join the game, and I don't mean any disrespect to you guys, this video is practically made for you guys. I welcome you to my humble channel. To all my old guys, this video could help you. It could hurt you. It won't hurt you. But it could help you learn some things maybe you didn't pick up in the beginning of the game. And that is basically the point of this video, to introduce players to Chivalry and to try to get the foundations of the game into your heads. Because the foundations of this game, I find, are very lacking in most of the players that I fight. Especially over the past day or two during the free weekend. But that is what this video is meant to fix. And I'm just gonna, the basic layout of this video, it's gonna be a little different from my normal tactics. I'm just gonna go through a bunch of points that I want, that I would have the new guys know. Right now I'm just kind of fighting as though nothing is different. Let me show you guys around at my best, okay? I'm gonna kind of tone down the tactics I use when I'm actually showing you guys some specific foundational ones. But right now, I'm just going to show you guys exactly what it looks like for a high-level Chivalry player. I believe I'm high level. I'm level 40. It's relatively high. To go all out, basically. Well, more or less all out. That was sort of all out. That's about it, I guess. So, I will begin the general rundown of all the foundations of Chivalry with the game modes, actually. I was going to begin with blocking, but I realized game modes are a good thing. It's just going to be really short, but... So the game modes, if you haven't realized already, dueling is the mode where you fight single combat against enemies, 2 rounds. The winner is decided based on the results of those 2 rounds. If no one wins the first 2 rounds, then it's based on best out of 3. And I like this mode because it is a great way to test your mettle, test how much you know about the game, the kind of tactics you know. However, I would not recommend it for players who are just starting out or people who don't have the best grasp of what playstyle works for them or what weapons they like using. I would stay away from duels if you're one of those people. I'd wait a little bit longer. I would recommend the next mode, Team Objective. Team Objective is a really laid-back, fun mode. It is the basis of Chivalry. Honestly, it's what drew me into it. And I really like it. It's really, really fun. I'm not going to play the Team Objective today because I'm going to focus on some just general tactics that will make you better at the game. And, and to do that, dueling is the best way to do that. So that's Team Objective. Great mode for just about everyone. Beginners and pros alike. Last Team Standing is another mode like dueling. I would only suggest to those who have a grasp of what they like using and what they're good with. I wouldn't recommend it to those who are still trying to learn and get the hang of the game. And free-for-all, which is what I believe the final mode is. I could be having a terrible memory day. But, yeah, free-for-all, I would recommend for everyone, absolutely. Just like Team Objective. In fact, I would highly recommend it for the new guys. Because they can really learn what weapons they are just generally good with, they like using. Because you can just run around and kill people. It's awesome. There's always people to destroy in free-for-all. That's my rundown of the main 4 modes. And I'm going to try to do a general overview at the end of the video, so don't worry if you forget everything that I'm saying. That's okay. The point is just to get stuff in your guys' head to start thinking about and start developing through the game to become just generally a better player. Now, I should have mentioned at the beginning, but I'll mention it now. Most of the things I will talk about in the video, I have probably done a more detailed tactics video about in the past. And I would highly recommend you just generally look around my channel for anything that you might want to learn about in Chivalry. I've done a lot of weapons and a lot of very specific tactics. So just look around, and if I haven't done it yet, I'm more than willing to do it based on suggestion. I do loads of tactics videos based on suggestions. So by all means, comment a suggestion if you have it. And next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about, the first actual gameplay tactic, is blocking. Alright, I have done a full tactics video on blocking, but I'm going to give a cursory look right now. And I'm going to show you guys in-game as well. As you can see, I'm doing a live commentary. That's the general style that I try to pick up with my videos. And I'm going to try to show you guys just some good blocking habits. So first of all, you want to try to block at the very last second, okay? This is a hard skill to understand at first. You're probably thinking, but shouldn't I block like whenever I think they're going to attack me? Well, not necessarily. Because if you do, then that is akin to something called panic parrying. And many of you have probably heard of this. Panic parrying is basically just parrying, just for no apparent reason. And it can just get you hit, because after you parry, there's a period of recovery you must wait to parry again. This is very important. So always parry at the very last second. And something that helps you parry every strike that comes at you is to look at the opponent's weapon as you're parrying. Okay, try to look at the tip. And you will almost always be able to parry their strike. As you can see, I'm parrying every single strike coming at me. And I'm blocking just in time. Now, don't focus too much on getting the just-in-time thing down. Kind of work on just being able to block whenever you think you need to. That was really close. But remember to always just be aware of when your opponent's attacking. And be aware when you may not have to block. That last time, I failed blocking. Because I was focused on striking him instead. Now, a corollary to blocking, I should mention, is using a shield. Now, I almost never use a shield, okay? But I'm going to show you guys what it looks like right now. It is a personal choice. I would not recommend a shield to most players. To a new player who is just starting the game, who doesn't really know how to block very well, I would recommend it, actually, because they help you become... They help you stay a bit more focused on the fight rather than when to block and when not to. Because you can just keep it up a lot of the time, right? Oh, okay. See, you don't have to worry about timing too much. If you see them starting to attack, you can just do it. However, something that a shield is prone to is if your enemy kicks you while you have the shield up, this will happen. Kick me. Wait, kick me. There you go. You get stunned. Okay, as you saw there, I couldn't attack for a moment after he kicked me. Alright? But it is a very good tool for just learning how to block. And if you're just starting out, I would recommend it for at least a little while. But try not to depend on it. Try not to depend on the shield. Once you get to a point where you can adequately block on your own, definitely just do that. It's a lot more effective because you can't be kick-stunned, as you saw I was. And that right there is blocking. And now I'm going to move on to something a bit more close to home. We're going to work with damage and attacking. Alright, so I just talked about defense. Oh, fighting a very skilled player right now, Rocks. Might have to use some crazy-ass tactics on him. So, what I wanted to talk about in terms of damage was specifically damage zones. This is one of the points. Some of you may have intuitively found that enemies are damaged differently based on what body part you hit. They take the most damage at the head, second most at the chest, and then the legs and arms take the third most damage. You see, that instant block comes in handy when you're fighting against people who use crazy tactics like this. I'll tell you guys about what he's doing in a moment. Oh, snap. Took that head right off. Alright, and just so you guys know, I'm not going to stop the video as soon as the game is over. I'm going to keep going, so I can keep explaining. Anyway, so the damage zones, they're pretty simple to get the hang of. Also, something I should mention in terms of shields, when you're facing archers, which I will get to in a little bit, shields are extremely effective at blocking projectiles. I would not use a kite shield for it, though. Kite shields have a lot of gaps in the defense. I would recommend a tower shield. And I always run with a tower shield. I don't use it, but I always have one with me just so I can block those ranged attacks. And I always take heads. Always take your opponent's head. It's a sign of epicness. I don't fucking know. Alright, so just a quick... Oh, shit. They can hit you in your feet, though. But it becomes very effective if you, you serpentine effectively and whatever. As you can see, I hit him in the foot, didn't deal that much damage. Hit him in the head, it just comes right off. So that's all the blocking. I should get back to damage now. So, as I was saying, the head deals most damage. You want to actively aim for the head when you're attacking an enemy, when you're fighting them. This is a bit harder in team games like Team Objective, Free-for-All, things like that, with large amounts of enemies. But if you aim towards the head or chest area, you will end up getting a lot more kills a lot faster. At least that's what I've found. So, some slightly more advanced tactics you should be utilizing. I'll tell you guys the theory of them now, and then I'll show them to you in a moment in the game, just as soon as the round restarts. Some of those include dragging, combos, ripostes, keeping a tempo, and the bubble. I'm going to explain all of these in a second. I'm going to give you some theory on them, though. So, drags, I have made a very detailed tactics video on drags, but I'll talk about it again. Drags are basically trying to either accelerate or decelerate your weapon in such a way that it hits the enemy faster or slower than you intended. Now, dragging is probably one of the most effective tactics in the game, and unlike just striking normally, it creates a dynamic sort of combat scenario so that you're not doing the same thing over and over again. If you just hit left mouse button over and over again, it becomes very tedious, and the battle will probably go on for a while unless the opponent starts dragging or feinting or does some other different tactic. So if you do drag, it makes the battles pick up momentum on your end a lot faster. Now, I mentioned feinting. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I personally don't use it all that much, and it's viewed as kind of a... with a bit of taboo in this game, it's viewed kind of badly. I don't see it as that bad. I've made a tactics on it. I've showed people how to do it. I show you guys how to deal with it as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about it at this stage in the game. If you're just starting out, I would seriously recommend just focusing on defense and attack. Just simple things. Just learning how to block and learning how to use damage zones, simple dragging, things like that to your advantage. Alright, finally get to show you guys something. And I am using the Knight Longsword class because it is the class I recommend to all beginners. Knight Longsword. The Longsword has decent speed, really good range, and really good damage as a weapon. And the Knight is by far the best beginner class. I see far too many beginners using archers when they definitely should be using Knight. And that is simply because Knight has the most health of any character. He might be the slowest, but not by too much. They buffed his speed in the latest update. So, this is the class and weapons I would recommend. Now, back to the things I meant to show you guys. So, I'll start with the dragging, show you guys how to do it. The longsword is a decent dragging weapon. There are better ones, but the longsword's pretty good. So, the basis of a drag, let me show you right here with no one in front of me. The basis of a drag is an acceleration or deceleration. I'll show you with a swing right now. This is an accelerated strike. This is a decelerated strike. Now, I'm going to show you against him now. That was just an accelerated strike, where you click the button and then you move in the direction that your opponent is. So something like this. Whoops. Let's try that again. Boom. So he was right there. But instead of just staring at him and left mouse buttoning, I left mouse button and then I looked to the left. Because that is the weapon the sword is traveling at a normal side swing. And by doing that, you end up pulling the sword, essentially, in a faster arc. Now, the same thing can be done in the opposite way, by decelerating. I'm going to show you that now. And this can be done with every strike your weapons can deal. Overheads. Alright, let's try this. I'm going to... See, that was a drag. And the point of drags, the point of accelerated drag, is to make it so your opponent doesn't have time to block your strike, while a decelerated drag gives you time to get an opponent to panic parry. You see, he panic parried as soon as he saw me starting to strike, but rather than block it, since the weapon was moving slower than usual, he was not, in fact, able to. Oh, that was just a normal strike. And he's stun locked. Now I'm going to show you guys this stuff with the overhead. Okay, as soon as I respawn. You're not going to win every battle. This is another lesson, a side note, I should say. You're not going to win every battle, especially if you're just beginning. I don't win every battle, and I'm rank 40. Okay? But, get back to the drags. So you can drag with every weapon. Let me show you guys the overhead. The overhead, you just basically look down, and you can also crouch, and it'll go even faster. Or you can, or you can decelerate it. Oh, that almost got past his block. And that did. But that was different. That was a riposte. Oh. If you can catch an opponent just before their strike hits you, that is the best time. Oh. Alright, let me see if I can get a decelerated side swing going here. Got it! Very nice. Alright, so that's dragging. In its simplest form. And it's a fantastic tactic. I recommend everyone to try to learn how to use it as soon as possible. Next thing I want to talk about are combos. Combos are such a simple way to just outsmart your opponent. In the sense that if you can combo in such a way where your opponent, and you combine drags where your opponent really doesn't know what you're doing, then you can really succeed. What I was just doing there was basically comboing. How to combo is just you make an attack, and then you make another attack in succession. Alright. Now, how you see him missing me is a little something just called footwork. Footwork is probably one of the best blocking tactics, but I'm not going to talk about it in this video. If you guys want me to make a text about it, you can tell me. But it's a very, very good strategy for defending. And it's basically outsmarting your opponent in terms of footwork. But back to comboing. Comboing is a really good way to just keep the tempo of a match going and taking it over, taking up the momentum of the game. If you keep striking in your opponent's general direction and they keep blocking, you own the momentum of the game and you have a much higher chance of winning. This guy's not here. It's okay. So, next up is ripostes, and I can't use them against this guy because he's not here. Sorry. So ripostes, if you guys didn't know, it's probably riposte. Shit, I'm getting the pronunciation completely wrong every damn day. I'll just say riposte. So, how to riposte is to block when your opponent strikes, and just as soon as their weapon hits yours, you should make an attack of some kind. Okay? And what this does is it basically gets rid of the wind-up time for your weapon. The wind-up time is the time it takes between you clicking the mouse and the weapon dealing damage. That is the wind-up time. And different weapons have different wind-up times, but if you riposte, it gets rid of it completely. The weapon deals damage almost instantly. Alright. So this is the perfect guy to use ripostes against. He's using a claymore, a very fast weapon. Alright. Now, you don't want to really concentrate on using ripostes. They're not a tactic you should actively use, because you have to block. You have to be able to read your opponent. That right there was a riposte. What I just did. Let's show it again. Wait, one more time. Oh! It's harder to do with the faster weapons, definitely. Boom, riposte. It is extremely fast with every weapon. Every single weapon. I'm going to switch classes right now to the Vanguard with the Greatsword. And, by the way, I would absolutely recommend the basic weapons for these three classes until you get a hang of other weapons. So the Longsword for the Knight, Greatsword for the Vanguard, and the Broadsword for the Man-at-Arms until you find another weapon that meets your playstyle. That right there, perfect riposte. Perfect combo right there. See, combos and ripostes are the bread and butter of your duels, okay? You should use them liberally, a lot. And I think that's just about all I can talk about in terms of them. Next is tempo. Now, tempo is kind of a hard concept to get the hang of. What it is how fast the battle is moving, in a sense of when there's a strike and when someone blocks. I'm gonna show you in game, show you guys practically, just so you guys know. And you might be thinking, well, how can I use this to my advantage? Well, if you control the tempo of the game, then you basically control the match. Okay? Now, what tempo is essentially when your opponent thinks you're going to strike, when they think they need to dodge or block, that sort of thing. It's the timing of everything you do. If you strike and you miss and they block, then they get a little bit scared, right? They're thinking, oh crap, he's going aggressive, he's going to hit me, oh man, and he's going to start blocking more. If you run up to an enemy, get right in their face, start face hugging, start feinting or something, then they will get kind of scared. They'll start blocking. See, this guy's got a shield up 24/7. You don't even need to get a tempo up with him. Some people will just give you the tempo. You can have it. It's not the simplest idea, but once you learn to use it to your advantage, it can become very important. Now, the bubble. My final offensive point is the bubble. So, what the bubble is, it's kind of an abstract concept, much like tempo. The bubble is the range of your weapon and your opponent's weapon. Okay? It's the range at which your weapon can deal most damage. It's maximum damage. So right now, my bubble, as you can see, he would have hit me with his weapon, right? He made contact with me. So I'm within his bubble. His weapon has a smaller bubble than my weapon, however, because his weapon has a slightly smaller range. So I can keep him at a distance and take advantage of that fact. You see, he had to run in to get to me, but I was just backtracking a little bit, and I was able to kill him. I took advantage of the bubble. So this is probably really weird to think about mentally, but again, once you get the hang of it, you can really dominate people, because once you know the range of your weapon in a practical sense, you can demolish them, right? For instance, like, I know the range of my weapon is about that far. He missed me right there, okay? He didn't understand the principle of the bubble in that moment. Whoa. Whoop! Again, I got right outside of his bubble at the last moment, and it was just enough. See? He was right inside my bubble right there. Ooh, and I was right inside his. So it's a very interesting tool. Don't try to think too hard about it. It's odd to get your brain around. But just keep it in mind, right? Keep thinking, how long is my weapon right now? Can I hit him where he is? Just keep that going on through your head, and you will eventually come to a point where you will intuitively know when your weapon will hit the opponent. And it's so effective. And that is the bubble. As you can see, he's not inside my bubble right now. Now he was, and I'm outside his. And it's just such a great tactic. Again, outside the bubble. It's fantastic. And I just beat him basically using bubble tactics. Alright, so that is the bubble. Enough with the damn bubble. Alright, so now we are going to go on to weapon choices. Okay, I'm going to talk about, just briefly, some good ones, some bad ones. And by good ones, I mean some ones that are objectively good. Like, which ones make sense in fights. I'm sorry. So, let me just go over these really quickly. I'm not going to talk too much about the archer today, because the archer is just kind of a point, shoot, maybe kill them type thing. And I don't use him very often. If you guys want an archer tactics, tell me in the comments. I'll work on it. But I'm not going to talk too much about him today. So, here are some objectively good weapons in the game right now. The Greatsword, the Vanguard Greatsword, what I'm using right now, it is an extremely powerful weapon right now in the game, especially if you know how to drag. Even the simplest drags are so effective with it, because they boosted the speed slightly, so now you can hit people so fast with this massive high damage weapon. It's amazing. Let's see what else. So the Greatsword's great for the Vanguard, fantastic sword. The Claymore's all right. It takes a bit of finesse. to get used to. And the Zweihander is super high damage, but it takes probably the most finesse out of all Vanguard weapons to get good at. I'm not going to show you guys every single weapon, because I've made tactics videos on many of them. Oh my. But I will give it just a brief discussion of each. So, I started with the Vanguard, I'll end with him. I mean, I'll finish him. So, again, the Zweihander, it's a very niche weapon. It's very hard to use effectively, because it's so slow. You need to be able to drag very effectively with it. And I have made a tactics on it, but I would not recommend it for beginners. Okay. Let's see if we can use some of those tactics we learned against this guy. Oh, hello. I'll talk about what I just did there in a moment, or in a bit. But for now, so the Vanguard's spears are very, very good if you're just starting out. They're high range. You can stay sort of away from the very front lines, and they deal great damage. Their speed isn't so good, but they don't take too much skill to use, per se. You don't have to be extremely skilled to use them, per se. I'm not saying you guys are skilled, but you get what I'm saying. Alright, let's try to defeat this guy. That, my friends, was an extremely accelerated stab. Now I'm just going to stay out of the fights and just describe these. So, the regular spear is great for beginners, as is the fork. The brandy stock is a bit harder to use. It's a bit slower when you unlock it. So I would recommend just watch my tactics for it if you do get to it and you want to use it. The Bartochet, it's a great beginner weapon. High damage, decent speed, and good reach. Billhook, much of the same, slightly less damage, slightly higher speed. Halberd, also the same. These weapons are generally about the same. Bullhammer is kind of unique. It's got very illusory speeds. Oh, by the way, don't really pay too much attention to these skill bars. They don't actually mean all that much. There are much more detailed spreadsheets that will tell you exact numbering, and these are really either under or over exaggerated most of the time, so don't pay too much attention to them. Anyway, the pole hammer is pretty unique, does a lot of damage, isn't too fast, but if you know how to drag it, it can be very powerful. I won't dabble too much in the secondaries. I'll just say the saber is my personal favorite secondary. However, the hatchet and the cudgel are both very, very good as well. Knight secondaries, I would recommend North Sword when you unlock it, or the Broadsword when you are just starting. So I'm going to go over to the Knight now. I would not recommend the double axe at all, unless you are very, very skilled with it. And what I mean by that is you have dragging down pat. You have mastered it. Because this is a very hard weapon to master. I'm going to go back to Knight just for a moment and just maybe play a duel or two while I'm describing. But the pole axe, unlike the double axe, is extremely good. I would recommend that to everyone. And the bearded axe is better than the pole axe. It's probably the best axe in my opinion, if you are just starting out. It's good for beginners. Lots and lots of speed. Pulling out some accelerated drags. Ripostes. See, when you combine everything, you just dominate. So there's the axes. The Warhammer. Very, very good knight weapon, honestly. It's completely underappreciated. If you know how to drag even to a small degree, you can do very well with the Warhammer. The Maul, again, if you know how to drag even moderately well, you can do well. But just as a side note, if you master the Maul, as some competitive players do that I know, you can become almost unstoppable. Because the Maul can one-shot every single class, including the Knight, if you hit them in the head. It's amazing. It's truly awesome. So, the Grand Mace is a really good balanced weapon. I wish it were available for the beginner players, because you have to unlock all these before it. But it's a very, very all-around good weapon, actually. The Longsword, what I'm using here, is what I would recommend to all beginners to start with. Longsword Knight. It's a very good all-around weapon. Sword of War, a little bit more specific. It's a bit more speedy, a bit less damagey, but it's very, very good all around. It's one of the best objectively good weapons in the game. I really enjoy it too. The Messer is my personal favorite knight weapon currently, but it takes a lot of finesse to use properly. You need to be able to drag very, very well with it. I'm going to show you guys that in a moment. Probably next duel. Getting those combos in. As you can see, he's using a much faster weapon than me. So, what you should do in this situation is change to a class with a much faster weapon as well. I'm still going to describe... Oh, shit. I was meant to show you the Messer. But I really like the Messer. I wouldn't really recommend either of the flails unless you have a really good grasp on dragging, because they don't become all that good until you know how to use their slower speed to your advantage. I'm just kind of annoying him at this point. I'm sorry, I'm using Man-at-Arms now. Riposte! Combo. It wins every time, I'm just saying. For the Knight secondary, I'd recommend Broadsword or Norse Sword. Now for the Man-at-Arms, as you can see what I'm using is the Norse Sword. I would say that the Norse Sword is the best all-around weapon for the Man-at-Arms, and almost every competitive player I know would agree with me, most likely. You see, when someone's using a shield, they become very, just, sort of generally open to just basic tactics. As you can see, this guy is very prone to just, like, striking and striking and striking, which can come back to bite you if you don't use any advanced tactics. So anyway, the Norse Sword is, in my opinion, the best sword for the Man-at-Arms. The Broadsword is a very close second, however. Its reach and its higher damage just works magic in team game modes. Team Objective and Free-for-All, I use Broadsword sometimes, actually, because it's a very good weapon. Don't look at the stats where this is completely wrong. The Falchion, sadly, even though it's the last weapon you unlock, it's not all that good, in my opinion. It's only really good against Knights and Vanguards, and other than that, it's kind of silly. Next on the list are the axes. I once used the hatchet very religiously. It's a very, very fun weapon. It's so fast, but it doesn't reach that far, so it's not really all that viable in duels. In team games, it's really fun. The War Axe, on the other hand, is a bit longer. However, its slow speed kind of makes me hate it. And finally, the Dane Axe. The Dane Axe takes a lot of finesse, much like some of these other weapons I was telling you guys about. You need to have a lot of dueling prowess. But otherwise, it's a pretty good weapon. I wouldn't recommend it for beginners, however. And something I should have mentioned when I was talking about shields, the best way to get around shields is to just kind of dance. Just dance around them, right? You saw what I was doing there? I was sort of stabbing around them. Whoosh. And it's very effective against shields. Finally, the Man-at-Arms maces are very, very effective. Because of their speed and their, like, you know, decent range, they can actually be very effective against just about everything. And they're good for every new guys and more skilled. I'm going to show you guys what I mean by dancing around. So what I mean by dancing around is basically an accelerated drag, but in such a way that you kind of swerve around the enemy. Like whoosh. Like whoosh. Boom. It's a bit harder to do. It's a bit of an advanced tactic, but can get you a lot of good kills for people behind shields. So the mace is really good for everyone. Morningstar, kind of decent. If you know how to drag, it's a lot better. The Holy Water Sprinkler, I used to use this weapon very, very well. I used to use it a lot. It's a very, very good weapon. It's extremely fast, decent damage. However, if you don't know how to dodge or block really effectively, it's not all that good, because it doesn't deal all that much damage. And the Quarterstaff is just plain annoying. Okay, if you can use the Quarterstaff effectively, you can do extremely well. It's a very well-balanced weapon, and it's very good. It's very objectively good today. The Archer I can't really comment too much on. Use the best bow you can. Speed isn't all that much of a factor for archers, because you should be staying kind of far behind the battle. But I'd recommend javelins. When I was using Archer before, javelins are very effective because they provide a melee and a ranged weapon in one. So they're very, very effective. So that's all the weapons I want to show you guys. And I just want to let you guys know that I have made tactics videos. Again, I just want to let you guys know. I've made tactics videos for many of these weapons. especially the ones that I've used in the past. I'm adept with, and I'd highly recommend you watch any videos for weapons that you might want to use, because they can really help you out learning specific tactics that will help you with specific weapons. So that's all the weapons. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit, just as sort of a closing note. I know this video has gotten a bit long, damn, 35 minutes, but I just want to talk about some advanced tactics that I was using during this video and that I use all the time, that more advanced players use. Now, the things I'm going to tell you guys right now, I wouldn't recommend you try to utilize in public duels unless you have a full grasp of them, because they might get you completely killed if you use them incorrectly. So, some advanced dragging things that are available to more skilled players, or to people who just know how to use their selected playstyle a bit better, are things such as accelerated stabs, extremely accelerated stabs, which involve basically jumping forward with your weapon and looking up then down. It can accelerate the strike extremely quickly to a point where even the fastest blocks can't deal with it. Little bubble action going on. And dragging in general as a higher leveled player can be the difference between being very skilled high-level player and not so skilled. So, the more you learn about dragging in your early life in the game, in your lower ranks, the better you will be able to do against the higher-ranked players. So, I'm also going to show you guys something called the rainbow. Probably have heard about it. That wasn't the rainbow. Well, whatever. This is the rainbow. The rainbow, I'm sorry. I made a tactics video on the rainbow. You can probably find it if you look for it. But what it is essentially this. I'll just show you guys it in third person. It is basically this. You do an overhead when the enemy is behind you, or you turn around and do an overhead. Now, that might seem, why the hell would you turn your back on your enemy, Tripper? That's fucking stupid. Well, it is an almost instantaneous attack. As you saw there, he didn't even have time to get his shield up. Almost instantaneous. It's fantastic. Against everyone, actually. The most skilled players in the game fall for it. It's the most effective tactic almost in the game, essentially. And I use it all the time, as douchey as that sounds. But it's very, very effective. Other than those, I would also say that something called the Human Whirlwind, which I made a tactics about recently, is also quite effective. Which is what I just did there. So the Human Whirlwind is basically this. It's the same thing as a rainbow, just horizontal. Instead of overheading, you are side swinging. Oh, okay. Almost through it. Alright, so that's actually just about everything I wanted to cover today in this beginner video. For those of you who have gotten all the way through, I thank you. I hope I taught you guys something. If you guys want to see any tactics videos about anything else, any residual subjects you don't think I may have covered very well, or I haven't already made a tactics video about, by all means put it in the comments. It's a very suggestion-based channel. I make a lot of my tactics based on my viewers' suggestions. And I read all my comments as well. So if any of you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them if they're tactics related. And I believe that is all I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to try to get a duel with my buddy Ascended AI, who just joined. He's a very skilled, I would say, competitive level Chivalry player. He's one rank below me, but much of the time he has the potential to just absolutely demolish me. Don't get kick stunned. Don't get kick stunned. Don't get kick stunned. Sorry. Alright, I'm just going to get one battle with Ascended AI over here. Oh, shit. Actually, let's watch him for a little bit. Oh, man. Between two... Shit. Hold on. Ascended AI and Botchasai Manslayer are two of the... probably the best Chivalry players near my rank, and here is them fighting. Just as soon as I can get this fucking guy. Okay, there we go. Yeah, here are them fighting. All the advanced tactics all the tactics I just taught you guys put into effect right here. Nice. Dragging, combos, it has everything. Everything. He needs help. Okay, I don't think I'm going to fight him today, but I probably will fight him in a next video, a future video. And by all means, check out the rest of my channel for other tactics videos if you've gotten this far. I love you so much. Like, favorite, subscribe if you have enjoyed this video, if you think it has helped you. Also share it if you think someone else might benefit from it. And I shall see you kind people later. I have been Ripper. And as always, have a grand day. See you guys next time.